It's the Week 8 edition of the Coach's Corner on Leominster TV alongside Leominster High School head coach Dave Palazzi. I am Todd Robbins, welcoming you to another edition here on Leominster TV and on Facebook Live here of the Coach's Corner. And Coach, 7th week in the books, a 35-27 loss to Shepherd Hill, 0-7 record at this point in time. Certainly not where you want to be. But what we can say about the Shepherd Hill game that I think finally stood out to me, and I think it is fair to say, is this was a complete game effort. From start to finish, the team was there. They came up a few plays short and short on the scoreboard, but they were there from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely getting better as the season progresses with minimizing our mistakes. Unfortunately, we're playing teams that, you can't have any mistakes, and we gave up a lot of 3rd and longs, 4th and longs for touchdowns. And, I thought our interior linemen on both sides of the ball played their best game. And you're right, we did play much better. We played from start to finish. We had a chance there at the end to tie it up, but just came up a little short there. So we'll keep battling, try to figure it out for this week.
Right off the bus, there were problems, and those problems didn't necessarily have anything to do with you. It had to do with the distance between Leominster and Dudley on a Friday night, the traffic on 190, 290, 395 on down the line. You guys were substantially later than you like to be there. I know you are a creature of habit. 5 of 6, you are out on the football field every week. 5 of 6, you were probably somewhere in Auburn trying to get there at that time. How difficult is that in transitioning? You literally have to run off the bus and go get dressed and start warming up.
Yeah, I mean, we just said that to the guys, let's stretch out, and then we just scrimmaged each other. I mean, we just had no other choice. I thought it would be the best way, and we went live, our offense against Scout D, and then we switched it around and went Shepherd Hill's offense against, our Scout defense and hit a little before the game, and, we came out, we ended up scoring, so, maybe we'll do that this week, who knows?
Sometimes things go well. I mean, and there aren't many places where you run into this, but some cases, the way this league is kind of spread out, you're going to run into circumstances like this. Is it the kind of decision you had decided somewhere around the parking lot, or was it a last-minute thing as you guys are running out there, hey, we're going to go live and we're going to get going right away?
Yeah, well, it's a long ride to begin with. I mean, we're, the game starts at 7, and we've been sitting on the bus for 2 hours. There was an accident right outside of Holy Cross. So, we just got there, and, I asked the coaches, I said, what do you think? We'll just stretch them out, make sure they're loose, and then we'll go live and hit and be ready for the game. And, at that point, we thought it was the best thing to do rather than drag it on and let the other team keep warming up. And we just thought it was our best scenario to get out there and kind of be ready to go, and we were.
Great crash course, if you will, in getting the team ready to go. Let's talk a little bit about that running game. Saw a lot of success this week. Got some good blocking up front. Found some holes. It felt like whether it was Adam Couch or whether it was Justice Reynolds or Voshan Dixon, everybody found their spots through the line and then into the second level. And we're able to make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, up front, I think our line did a pretty good job of handling, Shepherd Hill. I mean, we obviously changed it up a little, put some plays that we hadn't run in a while. So I thought that caught him off guard a little bit. And, we had guys pulling, and Adam hit the hole, and Pat Gallagher had some good runs, and Voshan and Justice, and, Connor ended up with a touchdown. So I thought our run game, I thought we had good balance throughout the night. We just sputtered a few times here and there and weren't able to get some points there at the end. But, as a whole, I think we're more diverse now. I think we're getting better passing the ball, running the ball. So hopefully we can see those things kind of come to fruition with a win. It'd be great for the guys who've been working so hard. And, the linemen, we really don't have a lot of depth. And playing a game like that against Shepherd Hill, I mean, Del Judas went down, and, he's a huge piece of the puzzle at linebacker. So now we got 2 freshman linebackers in there. And, in our D linemen, we don't have a lot of guys, to put in there to give guys rest. So I was proud of the way our linemen played. I thought they did a nice job, and part of that was getting our running game going. You saw that Friday.
Let's flip over to the other side of the ball for a minute, because you talked a little bit about it. Their offense that they ran this week, although they do typically run a no huddle and it's packed in tight and they're constantly going, they took that St. John's-esque machine gun style, and I think they even found a way to run it faster. They were running plays, it seemed like, with less than 10 seconds in between plays, and they were flying one play after another, after another, after another. And like you said, short-staffed up front. Sometimes that could turn into a cardio game, and you were with them all the way to the end.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I told the kids I was proud of them after the game. I mean, we got guys banged up on the D-line. Our O-line, Lucas Lashua, he played both ways. He's been out since the St. John's game. Then we have Del Judas go down, so now we're going to have our D linemen stepping it up. We got 2 freshman linebackers in there, which you're watching crisscross applesauce in front of you, and you got to go through your reads, and it's not easy. I mean, obviously it takes some time, but the way those guys stuck it out to the end, just fighting, and it was great to see, and hopefully we can carry it over to this week.
Over the last couple of weeks, one of the things we have noticed, at least in struggling on the defensive side, is those edge rushes. Been vulnerable on edge rushes in 2 straight weeks. Teams taking the ball around and lost them early in the Wachusett game, lost them a couple of times for big plays the past week as well.
Yeah, it's just, we get, some guys, you just got to make the play quicker. You can't, he who hesitates loses. I mean, especially on defense. But, we have guys in the right spot, but maybe we're just a step too slow and we're not wrapping up on the tackles. But, we went over it today on the film, and we got to keep working on technique, and it's all about technique and getting rid of guys and, just filling the hole and believing in yourself. You're not trying to tackle a guy with the ball, you're going to the open area, and the guy with the ball will meet you there. I mean, that's the difference about varsity and freshman. You really have to go through your reads. And the good thing is the kids are getting better. It's just it's not enough against these teams. And you really, we get some young guys back there for, sophomore and, freshman safety and freshman linebackers. So we really, hopefully we're just going to keep working this week, and maybe they can make some big plays Friday night for us.
You mentioned a couple of players, one in particular that I did not have listed here in front of me. That was Connor Marchand. His contributions, when you've asked him to step in, he does. He seemingly is flying all over the field on defense from that kind of middle of the field linebacking spot. You find him on the edges trying to assist his teammates and trying to help fill holes when those holes need to be filled.
Yeah, I mean, we got the Philbin brothers in there, and they're learning on the fly. I mean, to go against Shepherd Hill, I mean, they got those big linemen blocking down on you, and Kyle and Jack, they did some nice things. I mean, they're going to be great. They got 4 years left. I mean, they're freshman kids, but Connor was the leader of the pack after Del Judas went down. Mm-hmm. He's playing Mike linebacker for us, and he's reading the linemen, and he's the linemen will take you to the play. You can't read the running backs because they go in different ways and not the way that you think, and then you get into a little bit of trouble. But again, that's a learning process. I mean, that comes with a lot of experience. I mean, you watch Hightower for the Patriots. He's so good because he gets there before they can block him, because he reads plays so quickly. And that's where all the grades come in, when they can read the play and see it happening and get to where they need to be before they get blocked. So, it's a work in progress, but, I'm very proud of these guys, the way they keep working, being 0-7 and, not giving up and just really supporting one another, and the coaches just trying to coach them up. It's frustrating, no doubt, for everybody, but it's not for lack of effort.
You speak about not giving up, and on the other side of the football, your quarterback, Pat Gallagher, certainly has had his toughness tested over the last few weeks. He's been trying to do a little bit more with his legs, so he's taking more hits outside of the pocket and moving downfield. He's also working himself into situations where, maybe the protection, isn't quite there. He has to slip. He then takes a hit either after he throws or while he's throwing. He ended up coming out of the game for a little while, and the hit that he took at that moment, I was like, oh, this could be trouble. We may not see him back. And then all of a sudden, a series later, he's back out there under center. You got a nice stopgap method with J.C. Cora in there, even though at one point you had taken a timeout, I think, right after that injury, and everyone looked at the sideline, and Pat started walking forward, and I saw Kevin Murphy wave him off and say, no, you're going to sit for the one play even if you don't have to. Yeah, no. That's the type of toughness you have in that leader there.
Well, he had to sit for a play. I mean, I called a timeout because I thought, there was a third down. I mean, we needed to score there, and it's unfortunate that Pat went out because, I thought that we had a pretty good play drawn up. But in fairness to JC, he's a freshman. He's playing 2 wide receiver positions, backup quarterback, starting free safety, and he's in there in a third down situation. And, I saw the film today, and I said, what happened, Pat? Did you short arm the ball? And he said, well, that's JC, coach. I was watching the route, and, the poor kid's taking off his gloves and just trying to get in there in the heat of the battle. And the kid is so tough, and he does everything we ask him to do. But, that's a tough gig to step in there and try to make a third and 10 conversion, which he almost did. So, it's just one of those plays, and you're right, Pat's been taking some hits, but not complaining, just trying to make plays, just trying to make things happen out there, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
I would say it's the first time since JC's been around the program and played a little bit of quarterback. Usually he's been rolling out. This was a straight drop back set throw over the middle, and I said, Oh, that looked pretty good. That was pretty neat to see.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a great read. He just, I think, watching the film, the guy was coming up the middle, so he didn't step with his front left foot because he saw the guy coming up the middle, and I probably would have done the same thing, and he just pulled back a little and was a little short. But what are you going to do?
So we work our way toward the end of the third quarter of this football game, Coach. You tie the game up at 21. You had a long, sustained drive to get you to that point, and it felt good. It felt like the momentum was building at that moment. You were going to tie the game up and maybe take it over the top, and then all of a sudden, they come right back at 2 plays, and boom, they're down the field in the end zone. And then it felt like at that point, maybe the wind started to settle out of the sails a little bit as the daunting task finally creeped up on you.
Yeah, it's just it's frustrating. You're working hard, and it's again, guys are just doing the best they can, and you get a big play, and these teams, they're executing plays, and we have guys there. We're just not making the physical play, and I'm never going to get mad at guys for not making a physical play. It's the frustrating thing and the mental errors that that are most frustrating, because with those you don't have a chance. You miss a coverage, you miss an assignment, you don't go through your reads, and you have a great play, but you just mentally you're not there. So again, it's not for lack of trying, but that was huge. You're right, the momentum was swinging, and I told the team today, those are the times you got to take over the game, and somebody's got to make a play, and we're going to work towards that this Friday.
Get yourself within 1 score-ish, and then, well, let's talk punting, which I know is a topic you never want to talk about. And this football game had all the hallmarks from start to finish of every other Leominster-Shepherd Hill matchup we've seen over the years, and that is neither team really wants to punt. Shepherd Hill, I think, doesn't carry a punter or train anybody to punt. It's a pretty rare sight in and of itself. And then you all were competing with that. You were standing in there. You weren't punting. You were going for it. I think you kind of got that feeling of, okay, everything's on the line at this point. We're going to give it everything we got. We're not going to bother punting. We're going to keep and try to move the ball down the field. Late in the game, you end up in a situation where maybe there was some confusion on the play. I want to give you an opportunity to clarify.
Well, at the end of the game, I mean, there's 2 minutes left, and we had the ball on our own 9-yard line, 4th down. So, it's just if we punt there, the game's over. They're going to take a knee. They ended up running some plays, and they ran the clock out. I don't know why they were running plays, but it's just one of those situations with 2 minutes left. You do the math. You're going to have 30 seconds for one play, 30 for another. That's a minute, and then 30 seconds for 3rd down, and then they're just going to let the clock run down and not even run a play, and then the clock's done. So. It's one of those times where you're just frustrated, and we tried to convert the 4th down, but we almost had it. It went off Brian's hands, but I was happy we had a play on the ball on 4th down, because in times past the ball just hits the end zone and we don't even have a play. So anyway, hopefully we can convert some of those next week.
Back at it for another one this week. 35-27, Leominster drops their 7th straight in 2017 for an 0-7 mark. Let's take a look at that upcoming schedule for Leominster now, and you take a look through those first 7 weeks, and then into the 8th week at Algonquin this Friday night, the 27th. We'll have more on that coming up in a moment. And then weeks 9 and 10 still to be determined by the Central Mass Committee once the playoff seedings are brought out. We will see what the opportunities are out there. I think this week we'll start lobbying for games that we'd like to see, because the one thing I think that I have found with this new system is that these teams, they end up repairing teams that have played each other before, and although sometimes I'm sure from a coaching standpoint, if you have strategy film, it might be easier to prepare for a team either you've played once already this year or what have you. It might be nice to see some opponents maybe you wouldn't get a chance to see. Last year I thought a Northbridge-Leominster matchup would be great, because there was 2 great storied programs that never get a chance to play each other. We're in the non-playoff. That matchup doesn't happen. Instead, they send both teams to play other teams that they'd already played, and those games were lopsided affairs. Coach, any thoughts? You want a particular team or type of team or a division that you maybe don't get a chance to see on any other time?
I mean, I'd like to play someone that we haven't played. I'm sure the other coaches feel the same way. I mean, it doesn't matter to us. I mean, whoever we play, I'd rather not drive an hour and a half to a game, but and I'd rather be at home. So, I mean, other than that, we'll play whoever they send us to play, and we'll take it from there. But we're more focused on, this Friday, obviously.
Whoever the next one up is after that, you'll deal with it. Let's take a look at the power ratings in Central Mass right now. Through those first 7 weeks of the season, St. John's finds themselves on top. 7-0 mark, 22.43 their power ratings points earned to this point. They've certainly got first place locked up going into the playoffs. St. John's is followed immediately, by Shrewsbury with a 6-1 mark, almost 18 points in their power rating. Shepherd Hill right behind, a 5-2 mark. Doherty locked into that fourth and final place at a 6-1 record with Shepherd Hill in front of them. And that is at least a little bit of a demonstration of the strength of schedule somewhat coming into the scenario. Shepherd Hill with a 5-2 record, 15.8 points earned versus Doherty's 6-1 record, but only 15.1 power ratings points earned. Wachusett at a 4-3 mark probably puts themselves out, or very much a long shot to qualify. Making up 2 points in 1 week might be difficult for them. So we pretty much have a good idea of what those top four may look like going into the playoffs. We'll have more on that in the coming weeks as well. Jump right into our matchups coming up around the region for this week 8 of action coming up, and there is a bunch of games we're looking at, 4 on the screen there. Neshoba and Shrewsbury will be a big one we'll keep an eye on, as is Worcester South and Fitchburg. Groton Dunstable travels to Shepherd Hill. North Middlesex is at Doherty. 2 Saturday games to keep an eye on as well. Marlborough is at St. John's. Wachusett is at Westboro. So 6 games really that are out there. Those 4 that we identified there, plus a couple of more, Coach. A lot of great matchups around the region. Some that have playoff implications. Others that are just interesting matchups that may affect games down the road.
Yeah, I mean the Doherty Wachusett thing with 4 and 5. I think if they both win, I believe Doherty's in, and that's just the way the system works. And I know the other divisions. I've been looking. Obviously, we're not in the playoffs, so I just look at Millbury. I coach there, and just looking at how this is all going to shake out, because I am a Central Mass football fan. But Division 4, you got Fitchburg in there and Westboro, and they play then Groton Dunstable, so you get some people vying for a 4 spot there. So I'm sure those programs have a lot of big games this week, and depending on the playoff scenario, who's going to make it and who's not.
And let's face it, you're looking for Your Honor Exhibit A at that next Central Mass Football Committee meeting. Excuse me, can we talk about the numbers here as we get set for the other playoffs as well? Let's talk about the Algonquin-Leominster matchup coming up this week, Friday night at the field at Algonquin Regional. Leominster and Algonquin will be the matchup, and Coach, Algonquin certainly struggling just as much. They've got themselves a win this year. They are 1-6. They've given up 60-plus points twice this year, so they're certainly looking to make a mark, and they've got themselves a new coach. Stepping up from the tight ends coaching position, Taylor Allen takes over as their head coach, part of the previous program under Justin McKay, and then his older brother Mark is the defensive coordinator. He was expected maybe to be the head coach, and actually told his brother to apply for it because of his day job. So a family affair there, very similar to the type of program they've been running. What do we know about this program?
Well, I'll tell you, they lost to Marlborough pretty much the same score as us. They lost to Shrewsbury 41-7. We lost to them 35-0, and the same result against pretty much similar against Wachusett. So I actually showed the team today the scores, and we're not taking anybody lightly. I mean, they're a good football team. They move the ball. I mean, their record doesn't show it, but it's not like they can't play football. It's not like we're going to show up and win 100-0. I mean, this is a game that we're going to be in it, and it's going to be a battle. I mean, they moved the ball against Shrewsbury. We watched that film today, and against St. John's, I mean, you could throw that game out because everybody had their problems with St. John's, and they threw some picks in that, a couple pick sixes. So, but they got a good offense. They got a kid that can throw. They got a couple good athletes. Their linemen are pretty big. Defense, they're tough. So, even though they're 1-6, I mean, it's going to be a tough physical battle for us, and we got to be ready to play.
If anything, I imagine the purpose of showing them the scores is just to remind them this is actually looking in the mirror, regardless of what things may have been in the past. We're both in the same boat going into this week.
Yeah, I mean, this, we can say, we played all these good teams and this and that, but when it comes down to it, you got to play ball. You are who you are. I mean, we're 0-7, and we're 0-7 for a reason, for many reasons. However way you want to look at it, we're 0-7, and we're looking for our first win, and this is like a playoff game to us. I'm going to prepare for it like a playoff game. We all got to be mentally focused and not look past this game. I mean, I want to win the game. I mean, I'm sure all these guys do. These seniors want to win the game. We have 4 left, and we have 4 opportunities to get wins, and it's starting Friday night. So we addressed those issues today, and I expect us to be ready to go on Friday.
Here comes another week and another run-based offense. But the more I looked at the video, although Algonquin likes to keep the ball on the ground, they are much more option-oriented. They spread the ball out. Their formation, shotgun, pistol, they try to spread out the defense a little bit more. And then they, through that kind of spread, move the ball around and do the Coach Palazzi-esque crisscross applesauce, but they do it from a much wider base.
Yeah, I mean, that's problems. I mean, we gotta defend that stuff. We gotta defend the edge. They like to throw. I mean, we gotta get that fixed at the back end, and really scout well. I mean, we've scouted well. I mean, we got to go through our practice this week and put all their plays, and guys have to know their assignments, have to know what coverage is. We got to get a good push up front, and they can move the ball. They moved it against Shrewsbury. Their Shrewsbury game was very similar to ours because they went up and down the field on Shrewsbury, and before you know it, there was 41-7. Kind of like our game. We should have been up 14-0 if you really want to look at it, and we were down 14-0, and then before you know it was 35. So, we just we gotta come ready to play ball because it's a football team that obviously we're 0-7 and they have 1 win, so they're a better football team than we are right now until Friday night.
You talk about scouting well, and you talk about getting your scout team to give you the best look they possibly can. When you have more players and pieces in your program that maybe we're more used to, a drop back passing game or things of that nature, when you look at those scout players, what they do is incredibly important. We don't spend a lot of time on this program talking about scout players, but what those scout players do in helping your first teamers and your Team 1A'ers prepare for the other program, they have to do everything they can to understand the other team's playbook and be able to make it as best a look as they possibly can.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, when you have a team of a lot of depth, you have guys that are going to go in there that are going to give you your offense and your defense a good look. I mean, we have guys, that are playing in a JV game tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to practice, so we have guys banged up, and sometimes we have scout players in there that are not used to, we're just putting a body in there. It's like get at D-line and you're a DB. I mean, that's not going to be the same as a defensive back, as a D lineman in Friday night. So, again, that's why I said I'm proud of these kids. We don't have a lot of depth. We have guys in practice stepping up into roles on Scout O and Scout D to give us a look, but it's quite obvious it's not going to be the same look that you're going to get if you have someone at that position. So, we're working and we're trying, and the coaches do a great job of getting these guys ready and getting the scout teams and running the plays, and Coach Truax on the defensive side gives the kids handouts of all the plays every week. So, we're pretty much well prepared. It's just a matter of repetition and seeing it and then going out and executing it.
For people that have never been through it before, if you're one of those scout team members, you're learning the other team's plays, and you're running the other team's plays, which means every week, one week you may be a drop back passing offense or a 4-3 defense, and the next week you might be a 5-2 or any of a number of different things that you might have to do in those situations. How difficult is it for them to prepare week to week?
Yeah, I mean, this week we had, Shepherd Hill's offense. We need 3 backs. I mean, we get most of our backs are playing linebackers, so now we got to put some receivers at running back. Some linemen are down. Our quarterback, Sean Sulia, broke his wrist, so he couldn't go in there and run it. So now we got people trying to run it. I think I ran Scout O 1 week against St. John's, but I think I threw my arm out. But anyway, I mean, that's the type of stuff you get, and the kids are proud of it. Every week at the dinner, we have a Scout Offensive Player of the Week and a Scout Defensive Player of the Week because. It's not fun. I mean, you're in there, you're grinding, you're getting killed. I mean, you're getting hit from all angles, and you're just scratching and clawing. And, that's where kids earn their spot to maybe get put in the game. When we see something that we like on defense on Scout D or Scout O, that's how kids, can earn some playing time on Friday night and not just stand around in the back and watch. So I think you ask any of our guys, you'll know what I'm talking about. I always tell them, when they get yelled at to get out, I always tell them it's better to be yelled at to get out than to get in. So.
Absolutely. All right, Coach, let's take a look at their defense just quickly here. They like to pack the box, 4-3 defense. They're bigger guys up front. Obviously, that's going to lead to some issues on the line, create those opportunities where your linemen have got to stop them as they're working their way to the inside.
Yeah, you just got to mix it up. I mean, we played teams with playing 4-3, they play some 4-4, cover 3, and we just got to take advantage, mix it up, get on the edge, try to hit it up in the middle, throw some passes, kind of be multiple like we do, but we got to execute and definitely have to block the people up front.
As you walked away from the meeting today and going through your film and what have you and sent them on their way and told them to get ready for practice, what is the thing that you identified for them? Hey, we've got to make sure that we do this before we walk into that game on Friday night.
I just told them to, I said, guys, it's difficult being a teenager. It's difficult with the mentality of being 0-7. I said, just forget we played 7 games. Put that behind you. I said, seniors, focus on, you have 4 games leading up to Thanksgiving. We all have 4 games. I mean, what do you want us to be, known as just going out and just going through the motions, or really focusing on, trying to get a win on Friday night? And it's really the will to prepare to win than it is the will to win. I mean, that precedes the winning itself. I don't know if Lombardi said that, or one of the famous coaches, but it's so true. I mean, you have to have the will to prepare to win, and being 0-for-7, sometimes it's a little easy to make excuses and cash in the chips, and our guys haven't done that, and I give them a lot of credit. It's just hasn't shown up on wins. We played our best game Friday night, so I think they're ready for the challenge of a good week of practice and just get out there Friday night and hopefully come back to Leominster with a win.
There's no time like the present, Coach, and we'll talk about it again next week. The 0-7 Blue Devils travel to play the 1-6 Tomahawks of Algonquin at the field at Algonquin Regional Friday night, and you very well can be a part of it. Load up the vehicles, come on down, be that 12th man for the Blue Devils on the road. They certainly would love and appreciate your support going into this week's game with Algonquin. We'll be there along the way with broadcasts as well to get you to, from, and all points in between. The K-Zone will be there beginning with their Facebook Live look-in. We'll be on, Kate and myself, on Friday night, the 27th, beginning at 6:20 on Facebook Live, and then we'll transfer over to our radio pregame show. Our countdown to kickoff begins at 6:30 on AM 1280 and 105.3 FM, and streaming live at WPKZ.net. Leominster TV will be with us all the way through as well. Beginning at 10 minutes of 7, they'll have their live broadcast beginning both on the channels of Leominster TV on Comcast and Verizon, and also right here on Facebook Live as well. So those are your places to participate, and you can come on out and be a part of it. And then, of course, bring your smart-enabled device, and you can participate with us in stadium while you are also watching the games as well. We'll be back next week with another edition of the Coach's Corner, our 9th week edition of the Coach's Corner. Have more information on who Leominster will play over the next couple of weeks, what those playoff matchups elsewhere look like, and more. Until next week, for Leominster High School head coach Dave Palazzi and Kate Robbins back pushing the buttons in the control room, I am Todd Robbins, saying thank you so very much for joining us, and until next time, so long, everybody.